You're making your plans and you're checking them twice on your downsizing move. You decide to get a home loan pre approval, and there was no problem there. Wonderful. You've been pre approved for a comfortable amount and you can easily make the monthly payments. A key question that you want to know the answer to is how long does it take to close on a home if you're selling? What about if you're buying? These are two really good questions and ones we will address right after this. Hello and welcome. I'm Bob Weibert, Missouri licensed realtor with Coldwell Banker Realty Gundaker in St. Louis, Missouri since 2002. I appreciate you taking time out of your busy day to watch this video. My goal is to provide the best residential real estate information possible, especially if you're downsizing. I strive to provide my viewers useful insights and tips on the residential real estate market. If there is something you want to hear about, hit that subscribe button and the bell icon to be notified when a new video is released. I publish a new video every Wednesday and you don't want to miss a thing. So, on to the reason why you're here. Just how long does it take to close on a home when selling? What about when you're buying? Is there any difference? Just how long does it take to close on a home after the offer's been accepted? Today, we're going to talk about the typical time for a home sale to conclude from when an offer is accepted to when the sale is closed. We will explore major steps along the way. Ready, set, let's go. How long does it take to close on a home here in the St. Louis, Missouri real estate market? Typically, it is about 30 days from acceptance deadline to the closing table. How long does the closing day take? The closing for the seller is typically about 45 minutes to an hour. The actual time depends on the documents requiring signature and the speed of all parties involved in the closing. How long does it take to sign the closing papers by the buyer? It's usually a little over an hour because of the additional loan documents and, of course, the speed of all parties involved in the closing. The 30-day closing is not always the case. In some areas of the country, it is recommended to allow up to 45 days to close. With some government loans, that may be 60 days or longer. On the other hand, cash closes can take less than 30 days because there's no loan processing involved. Your agent and or lender are a great resource to learn about the typical closing time in your area. For the sake of our discussion, we will examine the conventional home loan purchase scenario. So how long does it take to close on a home with a conventional loan? The short answer is typically 30 days. The 30-day timeline to close starts with the acceptance date. This is a date that all parties agree to that the offer is to be accepted by. It may or may not be the same date when the offer was signed. Let's see how things are lining up on this. As you remember from an earlier video, there are 5 major negotiating points to consider during the sale of your home and on the purchase of your new one. One is price. What is the buyer offering in price? Is the price acceptable to the sellers? 2, terms. What are the terms of the sale? How much earnest money is the buyer offering? Are the sellers to pay any of the buyer's closing costs? 3, dates. What are the closing and possession dates asked for by the buyer? Are they acceptable to the seller? 4, inclusions and exclusions. Is the buyer asking for the refrigerator, washer, and dryer to remain after the sale? What about the child's placement in the yard? Is it to be removed? And 5, contingencies. What are the contingencies for financing, inspections, homeowners insurance, title and survey, and anything else such as the sale of the buyer's current home? These contingencies add at different times, but they all start using the acceptance date. Since contingency resolutions and the 30-day closing timeline go virtually hand in hand, let's review them together. First, what are contingencies? They appear in just about every real estate transaction and mean that the buyer will purchase a home if certain conditions are met. Pop quiz time. When do the contingencies start? Yes, that's correct. These dates start with the acceptance deadline date and the contingencies run concurrently. What are the most common contingencies in the St. Louis, Missouri market? And their time frames according to the St. Louis realtor's purchase agreement? All days are specified as calendar days, not business days. One would be buyer's inspections and inspections resolutions. It's 10 days for the inspections and 10 additional days, if required, for inspection resolution. 2, homeowner's insurance. That's a 10-day period. Financing and appraisal contingencies. This is typically about 30 days. Title and survey contingencies. This is typically 25 days. Home sale contingencies. This varies and may be more than 30 days. Here in the St. Louis market, these are usually market specific, meaning more contingencies are seen for the sale of the buyer's property in a buyer's market than in the seller's market. Common questions. So, who schedules the closing date and time? Typically, the closing date was agreed to in the purchase offer. The closing time is usually scheduled by the closing company and the agent with input from the party they are representing. Can the buyer move in on closing day? In most cases, yes. That is, if the closing and possession dates are on the same day. Usually, when funds are transferred to the seller, is when possession by the buyer takes place. Review your paperwork for any changes, such as possession on a different day or paperwork giving the seller possession after the sale for a few days. Does the seller have to be present at the closing? In most cases, it is a very good idea for the seller to be present at the seller's closing, not at the buyer's closing. Depending on the circumstances, the closing company may allow the seller to close early or remotely, with paperwork being overnighted. How can you get a copy of your closing documents? Typically, both buyer and seller will receive copies of the closing documents at the time of closing. They may be a printed or electronic copy. Check with your closing company for the method they use. Now you know that it typically takes about 30 days to close on a home here in the St. Louis market. There are a number of contingencies that could possibly extend the closing and possession dates, if not cause the cancellation of the offer. If the contingency is about to expire before being completed, the affected party should notify the other party with an amendment to sales contract with the contingency and extra time requested. Of course, this document should be submitted far enough in advance of the contingency expiration for the opposing side to review it and decide what action to take. FYI, sending this is no guarantee that the opposing party will agree to the amendment. Now you know how long it takes to close on a home, which in most cases is typically 30 days. Maybe less if you're paying all cash. You also learned about the 5 contract negotiating points, the 30-day closing timeline with emphasis on contingencies, who schedules the closing date and time, and how to get a copy of your closing documents. I hope you found this video useful and informative. For more information, download my free downsizing guide below, Things to Consider When Downsizing Your Home. The link is in the description below, and watch this video next. 8 Steps to Selling a House. Step 1, Hire a listing agent. If you like this video, be sure to hit the thumbs up button and leave a comment, share it with your friends, and subscribe to my channel. I post a new video every Wednesday about the St. Louis real estate market, and you don't want to miss a thing. Thanks for watching, and as always, make it a great day.